Good evening, Bandlabbers. So I wanted to make a video showing what I've been going through on my import processes and kind of my mixing techniques. Alright, so I've got an example song here. I've got the stem tracks. This was a Bandlab collab. I can tell that from the video I've got 3 guitar tracks, a bass, drums, and 3 vocals. So I've got all these tracks named. So I'm going to create, and I want to select Let's Make Music. So I know that I need 3 vocals. 1, 2, add track 3. I need a guitar. Actually, I need 3 guitars. 2, 3. I need a bass, and I need drums. And those are going to be a voice mic setting here, and I'll just rename it drums. So what I'm going to do now is start dragging these tracks in here. And don't worry if they're over here to the not next to the far left. You can click and drag. Like 2 more. Okay, I'm going to start off with the drums. If you go down here to the effects, preset that I like that I've been using especially for electronic drums is called Ambient Rocker. And what I do is I remove this FD echo effect, so I'm left with these 3, and then on every track I'm going to be adding a noise gate, and you want to drag that all the way to the left, and that applies for each track. That'll clean up a lot of the hiss and hums and background sounds like that. So typically on drums, what I'll do is increase the low end and decrease the high end just a little bit on the EQ. So let's see what it sounds like. So that sounds pretty good to me. Sounds like there's enough reverb on the track already. This is the reverb knob over here, and this volume slider is a little bit easier than dragging this one, in my opinion. Alright, I'm going to move to the bass. Usually my bass sounds, all I just do is throw on a noise gate and adjust the volume, and usually add a little reverb. About 15% is good. I'm going to go to the guitars and add a noise gate to each one. And another good tool is the 3-band EQ. I find that a lot of the tracks, especially for guitar, they could use more mids and highs to really make them come out better. So we'll go back to those in just a little bit. So on the mics, the preset that I like, have been using, is the very top one called Voice Note. That adds some compressor, it gives you an EQ and a filter here. Don't forget to add the noise gate, move it all the way to the front of the chain. That's going to really clean up your vocal tracks and get rid of all the microphone bleed. Preset, voice note. noise gate. Alright, so let's start with the first, start with the guitar here, since that one starts. Okay, so typically what I've been doing is having to adjust the mids and the highs. Let's hear what happens before the adjustment here. So I'm going to go back, and typically I've been setting the guitars to 7 on the mids and about 3.5 on the highs. Without, with, and then usually we'll add somewhere between 15 to 25 on the reverb. So I'm going to move on to the next guitar track here. Okay, so I'm going to adjust that again, and this one could probably use some more lows. Let's hear what they sound like together. You just kind of want to get the volume close. The mastering will take care of a lot of the nasty, just the ugliness. You can see that the bar graph here is just all the way maxed out into places. So let's hear what this sounds like. So I came down on guitar 2 a little bit on the volume. Let's go ahead and turn on the drums, and we'll get the bass going here too. I think that's a pretty good blend. Now we're going to take a look at the vocals here. So notice, let me turn these off here. Notice on this vocal track you can see how much noise there is. So I'm going to turn off this noise gate, and you can hear all that static sound.
Sitting on it.
Alright, so watch what happens when you turn the noise gate on.
Sitting on an angle.
Alright, pretty cool, huh? So, vocal tracks typically somewhere between 25, 30 reverb. And depending on your singer, you may have to turn down the high EQ just a little bit, increase the mids a little bit, depending on what they sound like. And alright, so let's hear all these together.
Sitting on an angry chair, angry walls that steal the air. Stomach hurts and I don't care. What do I see across the way? See myself molded in clay. Stares at me, yeah, I'm afraid. Changing the shape of his face. Oh yeah.
I think that's a pretty good mix now. Let's hear what it sounds like with the rest of the band.
but still the air. Stomach hurts and I don't care. What do I see across the way?
Cool. That sounds really nice. Alright, the last track that I needed to look at was a guitar solo right here. Let's see how loud that thing ended up being. Pretty noisy, but the mixing, again, the mastering process will help with that. So let's hear what happens with it together. Alright, so now I'm going to name the project. And then I'm going to save it. I'm going to click on View Revision. I'm going to pause the video for a second while this processes. Just wanted to note that sometimes I've had periods where this can get stuck and I've had to click on this. If it's taking too long, try it again and to reprocess it. And sometimes I've had to do that a few times, 2 or 3, before it would finish. Okay, so this is finished. Usually what I do in the description is I put I usually remove this part, the URL. I don't know if it makes a difference, but and then I will put credits for who played what part, and if they are on Bandlab, I'll go ahead and send them a collab invite. So I'm going to do that real quick. And you can either make it forkable or not. This means that other people can work on your project. So I'm not interested in that on this collab. So I'm going to update. Go back to the project. And now you'll click over here to listen to the mastering. So I'm going to click these 3 dots here and click Edit Mastering. Mastering by Bandlab, select, and this is going to take a little while, so I'll pause. Alright, so it's done here, and it gives you a preview. So there's you can listen to the original, CD quality, bass boost, enhanced clarity. Usually the CD quality has been really good for me. The bass boost is a little much. The enhanced clarity, sometimes you can't really tell a difference, so at least I can't. And what you're listening for is just to make sure that all the sound levels sound okay, and if not, then go in and adjust your mix and start over here again.
Yeah, what do I see across the way?
I think it sounds pretty damn good, so I'm going to click Done. This is going to process again. While that's going, I want to publish. Select the genre. Is it rock? And if it has curse words in it, you know, explicit content. Publish. And as soon as that finishes, it'll be good to go. Now, one thing to note, as you have more and more revisions here, if they're private, then they don't show up on everybody's feeds, but if they're public, those are the only ones that show up. So I tend to only keep one version of the song revision alive. So I hope that has been helpful, and that's how I do things. So I hope it helps you. Thanks. Oh, I wanted to also show the invite process here. So I'm going to invite collaborators. And you have to be specific on either the username or their name. Sometimes it doesn't show up, so we'll do Chad Hinton. And there he is. And I know the other two guys aren't on Bandlab. So there you have it.